Thank you all for joining today. I am excited to talk with you about some of the things that are essential to helping your account and your school get back to school with Read Live. Brief overview, Read Live is an online reading program that actually contains 4 different programs within it. Read Naturally Live is our flagship fluency and comprehension intervention with strong focus on fluency, comprehension, phonics, support for vocabulary and spelling. Word Warm-Ups Live is a phonics intervention. It works on providing phonics lessons as well as decoding practice. There's also spelling components and phonemic awareness components. 1 Minute Reader Live is a totally independent reading program. So I always like to just take an extra minute on this particular program in this webinar. If your teachers need something to get your kids reading immediately, 1 Minute Reader Live is that solution. They don't need to do placement. As soon as the students are in the account and have a license, all they need is access to 1 Minute Reader Live, and they can begin using it without teacher support. So letting people at your site know that that independent program is available. It is incredibly useful when teachers are placing kids into the interventions because it provides them with structured guided reading and that's independent, freeing the teacher up to work with students on placing and assessing. And then, of course, there's Read Naturally Live Espanol. So if you're teaching kids to read in Spanish, that option is in there. All of these programs are available to any student with a license in Read Live. So they have access to any that make any of them, and teachers will determine what makes the most sense for each individual student. Today, you have a couple handouts. One of them is a 3-page resource, if you will. It is provides headers and bullet points for the important topics within each of those areas. We also have a slide handout, and that slide handout includes images of how to navigate to the various places. The majority of this presentation is going to be done within an actual account, within a Read Live account. And so the screenshots are to give you, to trigger your memory and to put you able to find it when you go to do these actions on your own. So we will start with optimizing your staff module. Then we'll get into some account maintenance, what to do to start a new school year. We'll talk about licenses and lead teachers. We'll cover SSO and imports, and then we'll talk about some additional teacher tools and wrap it up for the day. Okay, so let's get into our actual account and start with that first thing that I promised, which is optimizing your staff module. So as you can see, I'm going to the Read Live program website. I'm going to log in as an administrator. Beginning the school year, activities need to be done by an account administrator. And so that is how I will log into this. So I just put in my account ID, my administrator user ID, and my password. Now, I just want you to notice that there is a section called Learn How to Get Started. It's an orientation and resources page. It will let you know what the role you are assigned within this account. I'm currently logged in as account administrator. I need to have that designation in order to do all of the tasks that I'm going to show you. And then it provides me with step-by-step instructions of what is necessary to get the account off the ground. So if this is your first year utilizing this program, that orientation and resources page is a good place to take a look. But what we are going to talk about at first here is when I go to the home page, I just want you to notice a couple things about the layout of the program. First, we have all of these boxes, or we call them tiles, and each tile has a header, a title or a name for that tile, and then there's a bulleted list that lets you know what you can do within that tile, within that section. So in account and school administration, you can add and edit schools, adjust school licensing, update account contact. So that is what is in there. You can also access all of these different sections within the program by this drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner. If you notice, the titles that are listed in this drop-down menu exactly match the titles on the tiles. Okay, so we're going to start out by going into the account and school administration. I want you to notice that you are able to adjust your account name if you want. You simply type in a new account name and it can override. So if there's a reason why you need to change that, that is available to you. Um, Also take a notice that we have a number of schools listed within this account. Um, if you need to add a new school, perhaps there's a brand new school in your district, or maybe there's just a school that's new to Read Live, right? They didn't use it last year, but they're going to. You simply click on add, and then you can enter your new school name. Okay. Now you have a couple different options that I want to mention in here, and those options have to do with licensing. You can either provide the school with the ability to access any license that is not assigned to the students. That's the default. That's the easiest for you. You can also choose to reserve a specific number of licenses for each individual school. So this can be changed throughout the school year. It can be changed at any time. If you haven't been instructed specifically, I recommend that you allow schools to use any available license within the account. It is simpler for the administrator. It's also easier for teachers because when they need a license, if there's one available, they can get it. They don't have to come and ask for it to be granted to them. However, there are situations where specific schools have purchased an exact number of licenses and they don't want other people grabbing them and they want to make sure they have them. So if that's the case, that's just fine. You click reserve exactly this many licenses and enter that number, whatever it is, and click save and close. Okay, so that is a way to, those are your two options with how you can deal with licensing. I'm sorry, yeah, with licensing availability to the different schools. If you want to delete a school, for example, if there's a school that no longer is using the program, you can simply click the delete button, assuming that there are no assigned licenses to students. If there are, you will have to go and take those licenses away from those students, and then you'll be able to delete that school. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a little bit. So the other thing I just like to mention on this page has to do with sorting and filtering. I'll show it again on another page, but anytime you see these 3 horizontal bars next to a title, that means that you can filter. If you click on those 3 horizontal bars next to the header school, I can enter the beginning or the whole word of a school and click apply. And now all the other schools drop off and only Pinewood is available because I typed in P-I-N-E. So only schools starting with P-I-N-E appeared. I have a little filter icon, a funnel. That means that there's a filter on there and I can select those horizontal bars again, click reset, and then everybody else appears. You can also simply click on the name of the header and it will sort them ascending or descending, right? So anytime that there is that clickability, that you can either sort or you can filter, whatever makes the most sense for you. Okay, the other thing I just want to mention is that it does let you know how many licenses are in your account total, how many are available to be assigned to students, and the date of your subscription ending. Right? So now we are going to go to some account maintenance things. So this is the primary thing that you are going to be doing at the beginning of the school year. I'm going to go under student administration. And I want you to notice that there is a tile that is titled New School Year Administration. Okay, so this is what happens at the start of the school year. If you click on that, I want you to notice that it provides you with a little bit of information to begin a new school year for all students in this account. You will have these options. You can advance all students by 1 grade with this one click. You can remove all homeroom assignments with 1 click. And then you have a choice between either removing the licenses and lead teachers from all students or retaining the licenses and teachers for all students. So let's talk for a moment about what you want to consider when you're looking at this list. As far as advancing all the students by 1 grade, you want to make sure that your students have not already been advanced by a teacher, right? So I want you to take a look in your account and see if staff members have logged in recently. If they have, then you might want to reach out to them and say, hey, did you advance your students? Because if you advance them now, then they will be advanced twice, right? So that's one thing you want to consider. When you are considering whether or not you remove licenses from lead teachers or retain them, some of the most common things to consider have to do with the size of your account and the percentage of your students that are likely to have a different teacher. Okay. So for example, if you are in a relatively small account, maybe there's only a few special education teachers who kind of stay with students year after year, then you probably want to retain those licenses and lead teachers. However, if your students are going to move to different teachers every year, and if many of them are going to go from the elementary school to the middle school or make some school change, then it's best if you remove licenses and lead teachers from all students. Okay, so if you want support trying to make that decision or talking through that process, our support team can help you. And at the end, I'm going to give you their information. If you decide to retain licenses and lead teachers, you can still make changes to groups of students at a time. So it doesn't mean that you're going to have to go into all 500 student records or whatever the number is and individually make changes. Okay, there's ways to change groups by age, by school. So there's ways to do it that are not individual student, but this is your one-click option. Okay. All right. So let's talk for a minute about licenses and lead teacher. Actually, I'm going to talk for one moment. Oh no, I'll get there. So if we talk about licenses and lead teacher, again, that's going to be under the student administration section. Okay, so we'll click there. And then you have a tile that's marked student licensing. Okay, so I'm going to click under that. And I don't have anyone listed here because I need to select the name of my school. Okay, when I select the name of my school, here I have a huge list of students that are at this school. Okay, so let's say that my school only goes through 4th grade. If I wanted to remove the licenses from all of my 4th grade students, I could come under the grade section, select grade 4, click apply. Now I have all my 4th graders. I can select this whole list. Here's how you do that. You click the student at the top of the list. You hold your shift key down. And while holding it down, you click the student at the bottom of the list and all will answer. Okay. And you can remove licenses from the selected and change lead teachers from the selected. Okay. You can also, if they don't have it, assign to that whole group. Okay, so there's ways to do it in large groups. I'm going to remove this filter by clicking on those 3 horizontal lines, hit reset, and then all of my students will reappear. Okay, so those options are available to you. You can do it by large groups at a time with just one click for a huge percentage of them. You have this RN license column. If you notice the header, my mouse or my cursor is circling that now. It's over kind of on the right-hand side, mid-right side of your screen. If you click on that, it will sort based on all of the students who have licenses and all of the students who don't have licenses. So I have a question that says, what's the difference between doing this and clicking remove licenses and lead teacher for all? If you do it from that new school year administration button that we were just in, and you do it for all, it means you do it for every single student in every single school assigned to every single teacher across the entire account. This way, you can cherry pick. So you can select certain ones and remove it for all of those certain ones that are selected. But it doesn't do it for everybody under the account. Okay, thank you for asking that. That was a good distinction question. Okay. All right, so the other thing, I'm sorry, I want to talk one more moment about licensing. The other thing that's nice to know about licensing is that if a student is unlicensed, that means that a teacher can come in and find that student, grab her, and assign her a license. So removing licenses from students makes it so that any teacher is able to assign that license. If a student has a license from her 3rd grade teacher and she's assigned to her 3rd grade teacher, And the third grade teacher doesn't do anything with it. So at the start of fourth grade, that student still has a license and is assigned to that third grade teacher. Her fourth grade teacher cannot unassign her from her original teacher. That either has to be the administrator of the account or her original teacher. Okay. So by taking all the teachers and the licenses away, it allows for individual teachers to come in and grab their students and assign licenses and assign themselves. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was staff administration. So if I go under the staff administration button, I am going to just click on add a staff member. And I just want to mention that there's all these different roles, okay? Whether you can have as many staff in the account as you want, there's no limit. They can have any role that you want. So if you have 100 teachers and you want them all to be school coordinators, you can do that, okay? It is up to your site. We have no restrictions on it, okay? And then what you will do is simply put in her email again, and her user ID. Her user ID will autofill with her first and last name. When you click save and add another or save and close, an email will go to that student, or I'm sorry, that teacher or that staff member. And that staff member then can log in and begin using the program. So as soon as you click that button, that email is automatically generated. If the teacher doesn't find it, can't find it, sometimes it gets stuck in a spam mailbox. So ask them to look in their spam and junk. And if they still can't find it, you can reset it. So if I go under the staff member administration, I want you to notice the very far column on the right-hand side, reset password. If I click that button, the student or the staff member's email will be resent and they can then log in with that. So a lot of times if people don't know that email is coming, they don't notice it, they delete it by accident, all sorts of things happen. So if you have a handful of teachers that come to you and say, hey, I never got that email, you might want to check and make sure you have the right email address. You can do that by clicking on their last name. You can verify that their email address is accurate. And if it is, clicking that reset button will allow them to get that email sent to them again. And they're likely to find it when they know it's coming. This unlock user ID, the unlock button happens if somebody's trying to log in many, many times and it blocks them because it's saying, oh, this seems fishy, you can't log in. It's only for 30 minutes, so they will be allowed to get back in eventually. And you clicking on the unlock button will do it immediately, okay? You can assign staff members to a team. You can select their names and create a team that will allow them to share data, share responsibilities with the same student. Oftentimes you might have a special education teacher and a classroom teacher that both want access to Molly Anderson. You can put those two teachers on a team and then they both have the capability to do whatever they want with that student information. Okay. Okay, thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. I'm going to turn it over to Michelle now, okay? And we'll have her walk us through uploading lists.
Thank you, Claire. Thanks everybody for being here. So one question you might be having in your head right now is, well, how do I get my students in the account to get started? And so we have a number of different ways we can do that. And I'm gonna talk about those here. So Clever single sign-on. So we have a relationship with Clever and we provide single sign-on with Clever. And we would do that the way that is done. The Read Live administrator will configure the Clever district ID in the staff module. So Claire, if you could just navigate to student administration here and then single sign-on setup. And here is where you would choose Clever. We're talking about initially, so click Clever. And here's where the district ID would be entered for the account. And your district ID is your district ID in Clever. That is what goes here. And then when we link about matching students, we automatically match students by first and last name, but you can also match based on user ID or email, meaning those those fields need to match between Read Live and Clever to make sure we don't create duplicate students. Okay, so that's there. So this is Clever. Students are added manually or via our proprietary import process, which includes a student email address. So if the student email address in Read Live matches the email address in Clever, the student will use the Read Live SSO app in their student dashboard to log in. Okay, I know that's really quick. If you have questions, again, reach out to support@readnaturally.com or our 1-800 number, 1-800-788-4085, and then option 3 for technical support. So we can cancel out of this one and we'll go back to student administration. And now we're going to look at ClassLink. For the single sign-on, yep, we'll choose ClassLink. Our ClassLink solution includes rostering. Okay, so ClassLink is rostering and single sign-on. So the ClassLink administrator, with the assistance from the Read Live account administrator, will configure the integration via the staff module that Claire is showing you right here. So you're going to enter your ClassLink tenant ID. There are some technical things here that that your ClassLink administrator is going to help you out with. And then you would click Save at the end. Once this is configured, your student rosters are managed in ClassLink. Okay, so again, more information about that, contact us on our tech support line. Finally, we will talk about, well, not finally, but Google Classroom, we offer single sign-on for as well. This one, if we can cancel out of here, Claire, and take a look at the student administration, single sign-on again, and then Google Classroom. And here we would just click Save to indicate we're using Google Classroom. And then from there, students are added manually or via our proprietary import, which I will be showing you, including student email address. There needs to be a different import if you have multiple schools. Okay, so if you have multiple schools in your account that have students, we'll do an import is needed for each school. And then there is also a special address to authenticate with Google. And that address is listed under this blue and blue link, or I'm sorry, Claire, if you could click on the blue link, setting up Google login underneath, right? Yep, right there. And I'm just going to indicate scrolling down to the next page. The link is listed here at the top, right underneath. There it is. Claire's got it right there. That is the link that the students will need to use. All right, so let's talk about importing. So Claire, let's cancel out of this. So that was all of our single sign-on rostering options that we have. Now we're going to just talk about, I talked about our proprietary import. You will use that for Clever and for Google, but you will also use it for using our native login, our student login page. It's web-based, and we do have an iPad app as well. So one way to enroll a group of students is to use our proprietary import process using a CSV file populated with your student data. So a CSV file can be created from a variety of applications, and today we will be using Excel. To demonstrate, I'm going to walk Claire through the process of creating and importing a set of students. So Claire is already logged in and we are on the student import page. So a couple of things to note. Again, you'll need a separate import for each school. And the school login page is our native login page is readlive.readnaturally.com/login. And that will be your student login page. The directions at the top, and in step 1, there's a link to instructions. Claire will click on the link. And this document is a complete set of instructions, including all field requirements. Okay, a lot of information that you can read through if you'd like, but we're going to skip a little bit. And on page 2 of this document, there is another link to an Excel spreadsheet template that we can use. So let's go ahead and download that, Claire. And now we've just opened this template. And so you'll see several column headings in the file. Leave all the column headings as they are shown. You don't need to make any changes to those column headings or the wording. The only fields requiring data, and Claire will highlight these, are student first name, student last name, student grade, student user ID, and student password. And now, Claire, I would ask you to let's insert a new column, and you would also be doing that, and label it student space email. Email addresses are not required, but they are highly recommended. They are required for Google and for Clever. You have to have them in there, or those single sign-on solutions will not work. However, our native login, it doesn't require it. In our native login, students need a user ID and a password. So I just want to talk about that. So use something that the students understand or know or remember already. If it's something that they are using for other application access, it's a lunch number, student ID number, use whatever it is they already know. And also use the same thing as the password. That's my recommendation. So student gets to the login page, they enter the account ID of the Read Live account, which will persist on the next login, but then they will also enter their student user ID and their student password. So if you follow this, they would enter the same thing twice, okay? It will just ease the login for your students as they begin to use students. So once you've entered all of your data and you've saved this file as a CSV, it's time to import. So Claire, we could just minimize this Excel spreadsheet and we'll go back to our Read Live staff module. And so again, it would be under student administration, student import. And now here we will just browse to that CSV file. And we're going to do the one with air first to demonstrate. So let's open that. Because we have multiple schools, we need to choose a school. Northview is our school. And let's click next. Okay, so this is what it tells me it's going to import. And so we're just following the prompts. Click next. And say yes. Oh, but we have an error. So here it's telling me in yellow, if you hover over it, it says value for existing student in the account is a 2. So this is a change, okay? This is different than the account already says he's in 2, but I'm telling him I want him to be in 1. And I'm also saying that the email address, there's something wrong with the email address. Value for existing student in the account. It says it's this, and now I have something different listed here. So we have this question. It says we can either update. Can you click? I'm sorry. Click that drop down menu next to the eye up there. Yep. So we have a choice to make. We can either not import or update the existing student. And I'm just going to say update the existing student and then click next. And then yes. And okay. And now that import has been scheduled and it will be run overnight tonight. The administrator who scheduled the import will get a confirmation email in their inbox the next morning. And your students then will be in the account active and ready for a lead teacher. I want to show you one more example of an import that is successful from the beginning. So without error, open Northview again. Okay, so these are our students. Click next. And yes. And okay. So we just got a message that says your import will be scheduled overnight, and you will get a confirmation in the morning. So please, again, these are technical steps and we have tech support to help you. So please reach out to us, support@readnaturally.com or 1-800-788-4085, option 3. We welcome your questions. Please reach out. I will now turn it back to Claire to finish up the last few agenda items.
Okay, so we do have a lot of training resources on our website. If you go to readnaturally.com, the icon is here at the bottom, readnaturally.com/training. We have a lot of training for teachers, and that is an option to direct your teaching staff to. We also have our help page, and again, it's readnaturally.com, and then it's a / and it's read-live-help. Both of those sites are navigatable, if that's the right word, from the Read Live or readnaturallylive.com website. So I'm just going to show it to you quick. So if you go to our company website, you notice that this is readnaturally.com. That is our company website. So the place that you can find these training resources as well as our help page is readnaturally.com. Again, that is our company site, and that's where you can locate those resources. So today we have covered all of the items on your list. I want you to notice on my screen now is the support staff. Our tech support are the people who would be best able to help you, so please email them. The phone number that's right under our logo here, 800-788-4085. That number will get you to tech support too. So please feel free to call them with any specific issues that you might have. We do have a survey at the end, so please respond to those survey questions. And look to our website for additional webinars that are coming out on different topics. Thanks so much. Have a great day.